Hello, it is Diane's Blue Hearts and Butterflies.com, and I am coming to you with a set of cards that I made for my class that uses the stamp set and dies called Trusty tools. And I came across so many wonderful ideas, but these are the three that I settled on for my class, and so I wanted to kind of go over those with you. If you do want, the dimensions are over on my website at Diane's Blue Hearts and Butterflies.com, as well as kind of the things that I used. I'll kind of go over it a little bit, but these are the three cards. And instead of making three separate videos, I'm just going to do them all three because they're fairly simple. I did want to go through the Trusty Tools was in the previous catalog, but it did carry over into the May 2025 to April 2026 catalog. It is on page, of course I had it and now I can't find it. Nope. Well, one of these stickers here. Sorry about that. It is on page 101. It's no longer a bundle, but each of them are on here. There are several dies that are individual that don't really go with the stamp set, and then some of them do go with the stamp sets. I also used the Nested Essential dies, which are on page 107. And then I used some retired embossing folders, but I did notice one of them in the current catalog called So Swirly might work for the painted one, or even the exposed brick might work for that. And the only embellishments that are still in the catalog for this one that I used are the metallic gems on page 125. And I did use some words also from the Right Words for one of the cards. And I used some retired sets as well. The Biggest Wish and Work of Art from a very long time ago. And then I had, like I said, some retired riveted metal or diamond plate and painted texture that I used for the class. So let me go ahead, now that I've got housekeeping done, I'll get that off to the side. So let's go through kind of what you'll need. Again, the dimensions of everything that you'll need are over on my blog. So this is the painted card. Let me get it out here. Is this one. And for it, there is a 5.5 by 8.5 basic white cardstock or thick white cardstock. There's a 5 1/4 by 4 basic black cardstock, and then a 5 by 3 3/4 basic white cardstock. There's also a piece of scrap basic white cardstock to stamp the 3 of the brushes in, and you'll color those and die cut them out. And then there are black and white cardstocks to create the happy birthday on the front or whatever you want. So this one is 2 3/4 by 1 1/2, and that goes behind the white that is 2 1/2 by 1 1/4. Then we have 2 1/4 by 1 1/4 and 2 by 1, and those layer on top of each other there. Now on the coloring, you can use either the markers or you can use the watercolor pencils. I was going to share a tip if you're using the watercolor pencils and you don't really want to do watercoloring, you can still get a nice look. I was just going to show you real quick on one of these, because when you're coloring with pencils, sometimes you end up with those lines in them, and in order to get rid of those lines, you can use a blender pen, and that just kind of without getting it really sloppy wet like a watercolor does, it just blends those pencil marks in. So that's what I was going to share with you there. And then I also took out of the die set these the ends of the paint brushes, and I cut that out of Poppy Parade, Crushed Curry, and Blueberry Bushel. And we're going to adhere those onto the brushes. So it's not important to paint the brush if you just want to do the handle. Also, this stamp set comes with a stamp. If you don't want to color in the handle, you can just stamp. What I would probably do is use a crumb cake or something and stamp off and then stamp, and it just creates that image. So there is that. So let me set that off to the side really quickly and get out the stuff that I already pre-did. So what I did with the work of art stamp set is I took a brush stroke that was in there that I remembered from a long time ago, and I just stamped the brush stroke onto the white layer. This is the 5 by 3 3/4, and I stamped it on there before I ran it through the embossing folder. And then I ran it through the embossing folder, and then I'm taking the brushes, and after you've already colored them and everything, you will stick the paintbrush part on here, and you'll just line that up, and you can use dimensionals or glue dots to stick these on. And then I just kind of overlapped them a little bit, getting them out of the way so that when I did bring in the happy birthday, because you're going to stick those together. And I'm sorry, my fingers are orange. I just realized that I was trying to re-ink one of my Stampin' Right markers, and I got it everywhere. So, and you may even want to stick this one up here out of the way, wherever it fits, and then you'll put all that together. And then I used 3 black gems that I had to create this card. So that is the first one, and I will move that off to the side. This one was inspired by a card that was made by Diane, I'm not sure, Bodouin. It's hand stamped by Diane, and I really appreciate her sharing that idea. The next one is, I could not find, oh yeah, I found this one, I couldn't find the other one. This one was inspired by Pat Fairless. She had shared that on her website. And so this one I made with a 5.5 by 8.5 basic gray cardstock, scored in at halfway in landscape at 4 1/4. Then I have a wood grain DSP. This is from the Country Woods designer series paper, and it did carry over to the new catalog. And this is 5 1/4 by 4. The white cardstock for the inside, or you can do it in vanilla if you want, is 5 1/4 by 4, and you'll stamp that. My pegboard, I wanted to kind of have it stand out a little bit other than the white, and so I did it in very vanilla, but I started with a piece of a very vanilla cardstock that was 5 1/4 by 3 1/2, and I die cut this with the largest sign shape that was in the Nested Essentials dies, and then I ran it the pegboard dies from the Trusty tools. I ran that over there a couple of times to get that done. And then I had some scrap white and I stamped the hammer, the tape measure, 2 of the adjustable wrenches, and 3 of the pencils. You're only going to use 1.5, but you might as well do the 3 and cut them, color them and everything. And so on this one, it's all the same pieces. This one, I did use some, these were some dots that were neutral matte dots. Those are not carried over, so it's retired stuff, but it's what I have. But you're going to, once you color and die cut these out, you're going to use the hammer like the L, the tape measure for the O, 2 of the adjustable wrenches, put them together so that they form the V, and then, like I said, you'll have 1 straight pencil and then you'll cut the other 2 in half, and then you'll create your E with that. And you can pop those up on dimensionals or whatever, and then stamp the inside. This one was for a Father's Day card. And that's that one. And then the third card, this one's the one that I looked everywhere. I saw it on Pinterest, but I could not find who actually made the card. The only thing that I could find is that Pam Brown had pinned it, and it was the only one that I could find that was like it. And so this is inspired by a pin that I saw on Pam Brown. And the parts and pieces, this is where that die set is really cool to create some more of these things. So the base is a black cardstock, 5.5 by 8.5, scored in landscape at 4 1/4. Then there is the white for the inside and the outside is 5 1/4 by 4. And then I took a silver foil cardstock that's 3 3/4 by 2.5, and then a Daffodil Delight cardstock, the same measurements, 3 3/4 by 2.5. This one I ran through with the pegboard die that's part of the Trusty tools. And then on this one, you can run it through an embossing folder. I had the diamond plate and the riveted metal, but you can use whatever embossing folder you want. Maybe you have a tin looking one or something, or maybe you just want to leave it plain. And so the other parts and pieces, I stamped on a scrap piece of white the paintbrush and the pencil, and I colored those and die cut those out. In that die set, there's this neat little die that creates this toolbox, and on it I stamped You're the Most Awesome, or you could do Happy Father's Day or whatever to stamp on that, and then you'll put that together. I die cut just the handle part of the hammer in the real red. And then another part that they do have a die for is this piece that I did out of the silver foil, and you're going to just adhere those together with glue dots. The adjustable wrench, they have the solid outline, and so basically I just took that and I did it in Night of Navy, and then I also just did the head portion out of the silver foil, and then I am just going to cut off a little bit so that this just fits over the head, and then you will use a glue dot to glue that together. It has the wrench that that you can use, and then it has a drill. Now I cut 2 different ones because I wanted to have kind of a two-tone look for my drill, like a lot of drills kind of have, and I just kind of cut one of them out, the pieces off of it, and glued on top of the drill just to kind of make it look, and this is just where the pieces are already kind of die cut. I just kind of cut it off that way, and then you'll use glue dots to adhere that, and then you'll do the same thing, the glue dots behind your drill head to put the drill piece that you cut out of the silver foil. And then the other part, there are these plier handles, and you're going to want to cut those out and make sure that they are going the opposite ways this way. And then it comes, these are in one die, but it comes out as two pieces, and I'm going to show you. I took the one that has the little circle, and you can make sure that that die cut is out. I've got to find a glue dot. I know there's one here. There it is. And I'm sticking that behind here, and of course it falls down on the table on top of my plier handles, so I've got to get it off. All right, sorry about that. Then you're going to take this and you're going to glue it over the other, just kind of offset a little bit so that it looks like this. And then you'll take the glue dot for the top of your plier handles, and you'll want to make sure that you put the one going this way and then the other one going the other direction, just like a regular pair of pliers would. Did it come off? Yes, finally. And so there is that one. So this is the pair of pliers, and then once you have everything together, what I did was pop up the toolbox so that I could shove things back behind it. But you do want to adhere this to one of the front piece, or the front piece of white cardstock. There's enough for it to have a border around it, and then the other one you'll stamp with your messages and images and put it on the inside. And I just kind of stamped one of the images there, and then I adhered everything with Stampin' Dimensionals or glue dots onto here and created this card. And I hope that you enjoyed these ideas, and if you help share my blog and my YouTube channel, it helps to grow my showing so that I can continue to do this. And as soon as I get this video done, I will be uploading it to my blog and publishing this post, so you'll be able to go over to www.dianesblueheartsandbutterflies.com and be able to see all the dimensions of all the different projects, and be able to see the what I had used and where I got the ideas from. And I hope that you will do that. If you do want to see more of what I do, you can click the bell icon and subscribe to my channel and click the bell icon, and then it'll let you know when I post another video. Another tip that I forgot to share was, this was really handy when I was doing the die cutting for this pegboard, is using the lint roller to help pick up all of those little bitty pieces and get them out. That really did help. I can't remember which person I saw that from, but I did want to share that. I also made some thank you notes for my people that came to my class, and this was so fast, I just really wanted to kind of share it to give you an idea. And this, I had gotten this idea from chicken scratch. I think her name is Angie Judah. I can't remember for sure. But you take a 6x6 piece of designer series paper and you fold it in half diagonally. Then you fold this one down about 1 inch from the end and then fold it back up. And then you'll take this one on the right and you're going to fold it over towards the left, and you're going to kind of want to line it up with that fold line that you folded earlier. And then you'll use your bone folder to burnish that. And then you'll do the same thing with the left side, keeping this parallel to the bottom. And I didn't go quite all the way over. And then you burnish that one, and then you fold this down, and then it makes this cute little pocket, and you can put a treat or whatever. I found these handy little glue erasers that I gave to as a thank you gift. So thought that I would share that, and I appreciate all the other people that share all of their ideas with me so that I can continue to do these classes. And I hope that you'll check out my blog post and get the ideas from there. Thank you for sharing your time with me.